Hey guys, it's Jordan Hetrick. In today's video, I want to help you guys get started with the DJI Osmo 360. This is DJI's first 360 camera, and I must say it's quite impressive. So in this video, I want to show you the steps that you need to take to get your camera all set up and share some of my favorite tips and tricks to help you guys get started with the DJI Osmo 360. Along the way, I'm also going to share lots of beautiful footage taken with this camera and show you all the features just so you know everything about this camera. Now let's get into the beginner's guide for the DJI Osmo 360. First, let's just get the camera unboxed so I can show you what comes in the kit. I'm going to unbox the Adventure Edition here, but don't worry, if you ordered the Standard Edition, I'm going to show you what comes in that kit too. So first, open up the box here where the DJI logo is, and you can see in here there's two different boxes, one with accessories and one with the Osmo 360. In the Adventure combo, there's also this invisible selfie stick under here, so also pull that out. First, let's just open up the accessories box and get out all of those accessories. And you can just unpackage everything, take it out of the plastic and set it out on the desk there, so you have it all nice and laid out. You also might need to grab some scissors to cut this little tag off the protective pouch here. And once you open up that protective pouch, there's also a few accessories inside of there, so go ahead and pull those out. Next, you can grab the Osmo 360 box and get the camera out of there, remove it from the packaging, and be sure when you set it down, you set it on top of this protective pouch. These lenses can be scratched rather easily, and you don't want to scratch those lenses, so I just want to make sure you guys keep it nice and protected while we set up the camera. Also, be sure to remove these little packaging stickers from the Osmo 360 camera. These are all the items that come with the DJI Osmo 360 Adventure combo. This is the battery charging case. You can charge the batteries right in here, and it comes with 3 extreme batteries, which these are the same batteries that work with the DJI Osmo Action 5 Pro. So if you already have those batteries, it's going to be really convenient. You can just use the same batteries between both cameras. This is the USB-C cable for charging your camera. Here you have the DJI Osmo 360 camera, of course, and it's resting on the protective pouch. You also have this rubber lens cap, which you can place over the lenses for extra protection. In this little pouch here is a lens cleaning cloth to keep those lenses nice and clean. And these are the mounting accessories. You've got the 1.2 meter invisible selfie stick and also the adapter mount. And I'll show you guys exactly how to mount this camera when we talk about mounting later in this video. And this here is some paperwork such as a quick start guide for the Osmo 360. And these are the accessories that come in the standard combo if you purchase that one. It just comes with a battery, a charging cable, the rubber lens protector, this nice protective pouch to keep your camera safe, and a lens cleaning cloth. This camera does not have replaceable lenses, so if you get a scratch on the lens, you'll want to be able to send it in and have that lens replaced. You can't do it at home, and a scratch on the lens can potentially ruin your images. So be sure to check out DJI Care and consider whether you want to sign up for that. If you're buying Osmo 360 in the US, DJI Care is not available. So when you buy your camera from a third-party retailer like Amazon, just see what kind of extended warranties they offer. For example, this retailer here has a great 3-year extended warranty that'll cover those lenses if they get scratched or damaged. So just be sure to look into that when you buy your camera. Now that we've got the DJI Osmo 360 camera unboxed, I want to show you guys a few of the key features that you can get excited about and know what you're working with here with this amazing camera. So here is the DJI Osmo 360 camera. As you can see here, it's got a lens on each side of the camera. Those images are stitched together in the camera to create a full 360 spherical video or photo. In my mind, first and foremost is image quality. The Osmo 360 features dual HDR sensors, which are 1-inch equivalent, and it's a square sensor, so you get really high image quality out of the Osmo 360. You can use that to record in up to 8K 360 spherical video at 50 frames per second, which is really nice, so you can get some nice cinematic shots. I'll show you more about all this when we talk about the camera tour. The larger sensor also helps you capture some great low light footage. You can also record just using one of the lenses in up to 4K at 120 frames per second. So that's really nice, high quality, slow motion using just a single lens. It's got a long battery life, and like I said, it's compatible with the Action 5 Pro batteries, which you can swap between cameras. Plus it's got 105 gigabytes of internal storage, and you can add a microSD card if you want even more. Also, because it's a 360 camera, you can get that invisible selfie stick effect where the pole disappears from your shots, and just do tons of fun other creative things with the Osmo 360. For those of you who want an easy, nice reference in your hand, I've also got a great book for the DJI Osmo 360, so I'll put a link for that in the video description if you're interested. The next step is to get your camera charged and activated so it's ready to use. If you bought the Adventure combo, you want to charge the batteries in that charging case first by connecting a USB-C cable to the charger and also to a power source, such as a computer or a wall charger. If there's a green light on one of these batteries, that means the battery is ready to go. So you can pull it out of the charger and we're going to put it in the camera. If you bought the standard combo, you're going to charge the battery right inside the camera. So go ahead and grab the battery and the USB-C cable. The DJI Osmo 360 camera does have 105 gigabytes of built-in storage, and it's nice high-speed storage, so you're never going to run into any issues. However, if you want to expand that storage, you can go up to 1 terabyte, but you'll need to buy an additional microSD card. And you want to make sure that you use a compatible card, because if you use a card that's not at the right speed or not recommended, it can definitely cause issues with the camera not being able to record. You can use one of these cards right here, and I'll put a link for those in the video description below. The battery and microSD card go under the door right here on the side of the camera. To open that door up, just slide the tab over and down, and then slide the door down and lift it up. If you are using a microSD card, I recommend putting it in first because it's easier. So just pop the microSD card in the slot right here and push it so it clicks into place all the way down like that. Next, grab your battery and place it in the camera just like this, and make sure it's also all the way flush into the camera. Then you can just shut the door and make sure it closes completely to keep this camera waterproof. The Osmo 360 camera is waterproof as long as those doors remain shut. But you can't film underwater without a dive case. I'll talk about that more when we talk about mounting the Osmo 360. To charge the battery in the camera, just connect the USB-C cable to this port right here, and to connect the other end to a power source. When the camera is charging, you'll see a percentage of battery life on the camera, and it's best to fully charge that battery. When the battery's finished charging, just unplug that cable and close the door securely to keep that camera waterproof. Next, I want to help you guys connect to the DJI Mimo app, which can be used for activating the camera and also updating the firmware. So before we power the camera on, make sure you have the DJI Mimo app on your phone. If you're on iOS, you can get it from the App Store, or if you're on Android, you might need to get it from DJI's website. I'll put a link right here. Once you've downloaded the app, go ahead and open it up, and you're gonna have to create a login so you can log into your account. You'll also need to allow some permissions, and I must admit, the first time you set up the app, it is a little bit tedious. You might want to push pause on this video while you set up your account. Once you have your account set up, power on the Osmo 360 by pressing the power button right here, and the camera will power on. Then you can select your language by scrolling up or down, and the next screen is gonna ask you to connect to the DJI Mimo app. With the Mimo app open, just tap this icon right down here and follow the prompts to connect your camera to the Mimo app. By connecting your camera to the Mimo app, it's going to do the one-time activation that you need to do to activate the camera. It's also going to prompt you to update the camera's firmware, which I recommend you do so you have the latest features on the Osmo 360. It'll download the update to your phone, and when you see 50% on the update, tap continue, and it's going to transfer it over to your camera. Once the firmware is updated, your camera is ready to use, so you can close out of the DJI Mimo app. And I'm gonna give you guys a tour around the DJI Osmo 360 camera. So this here is the nice compact Osmo 360 camera. On the front and the back of the camera, you've got these two lenses that you wanna keep nice, clean, and scratch free, because those are gonna be your camera's eyes to the world. Because it's a super wide angle camera, scratches will show up really easy. The Osmo 360 has 4 microphones. You have one here, 2 on the top, and one also on the bottom of the back here. You've also got an LED light here to show the camera status. On the side here, you have the power button, and you've also got a speaker for when you play back your videos. This here is the door like I showed you before to the USB-C port. These side doors are removable. You can take them off, and you wanna make sure that whenever you use them and you close it, it's always completely closed and you just don't see any red there to make sure that your camera remains waterproof. On the back of the camera here, you have this nice touch screen, which I'll show you guys around. You also have the record button and a function button, which you can change some of the different functions on the camera. On the bottom of the camera here, you have these 4 little charging connectors, which you can use when you're using that charging handle or you're wirelessly charging the Osmo 360. You've also got this 1/4-20-inch thread for mounting your camera, and quick release latches right here to be used when you're using one of the quick release mounts. Now I'm gonna pop the camera onto a mount so I can give you guys a little touchscreen tour. So go ahead and power the camera on by pressing the power button on the side of the camera here, and your camera will power on. The first time you turn the camera on, it's going to give you this little tour of all the functions. So why don't you go ahead and just pause and tap through these functions. I'm going to show you how to do this, but you have to do these just to get through this here. You just got to kind of swipe the screens away after you do whatever they're asking you to do. This is the touch screen where you can preview what you're filming. If you're filming in a 360 video mode, it's actually recording out of both of these lenses. So this is just a preview of what the camera is going to be recording, but you'll have that full 360 spherical video or photo when you go to edit. So you can drag around the screen and kind of preview anything that's going to be in your shot, but this doesn't affect your overall finished video. This icon up here tells you the battery life. Over here, it tells you the amount of storage that's remaining. That's the amount of storage that's remaining with the current settings. Over here, you have the play icon when you want to play back the media you've recorded. This right here displays the current settings depending on which mode you're in. And over here, you can just flip screens by tapping that. You can also flip screens while you're recording in certain modes. And you can tap on this little icon to change some more setting parameters. First, let's take a look through the different modes available. So if you tap on this icon here, you can swipe sideways to see the different modes. And right now you can see we're in 360 modes. There's also single lens modes available on the Osmo 360, but I'm gonna go back to the 360 modes right now. I'm gonna go through these modes one by one, but right now we're starting off with panoramic video. Panoramic video is the regular 360 video mode on the Osmo 360. When you tap the icon down here, you can choose your settings, and you can see that you've got 8K video at up to 50 frames per second. It's really high resolution, and that gives you the ability for 2x slow motion. So if you want those cinematic shots for your 360 footage, that's a great setting to go with. When we talk about 8K on a 360 camera, we're talking about the resolution of the full 360 sphere that's being recorded. When you go to reframe your shots, typically you're going to pull out a flat video out of these shots, and that can be reframed up to 4K video because you're taking about half of the image. The more you zoom in, the more resolution you're going to lose, which is why high resolution video is really important for a 360 camera like the Osmo 360. If you go down to the lower resolutions, you're definitely going to need to keep it at a wider perspective so you don't get it all pixelated and not looking good. A lot of times 360 video doesn't look good. That's because people just zoom in too far on it. Over here you have different field of views, but that doesn't really matter for your 360 footage because you're going to be changing those when you go to edit your footage. And the frame rate, if you want to be recording for slow motion, you can go with that 50 frames per second. But if you're going to be recording just vlog shots or regular speed footage that you don't need to slow down, you can get smaller file size using 30 or 24 frames per second, depending on your preference. You can go all the way down to 4K, and that's going to give you a higher frame rate. The higher frame rate allows you to slow your footage down even further for slower slow motion. I'm just going to step it back up to 8K at 50 frames per second to get the highest frame rate for slow motion in the highest resolution 360 video. And over here, you also have some other video settings that can affect this mode that you're in. There's regular settings like this, or if you tap on Pro, it's going to open up more settings available on the Osmo 360. And there's different color options. So you've got normal 10-bit color, or you can go to D-Log M 10-bit color. That's going to be a flatter color profile for those of you who want to color grade your footage. But if you're just starting out, I'd go with normal 10-bit color. It's going to give you a good color straight out of the camera. And then I'm going to go out of those settings. Once you want to start recording video, just press the record button here, and the video will start recording. It's going to record, like I said, that full 360 sphere all the way around the camera using both of the lenses. This will be the main mode you usually use to record regular video in normal daylight hours. And then press the shutter button again, and it'll stop recording and save that file. I'll give you some more tips about mounting and filming using that mode later in this video. The Osmo 360 also has lots of other modes available, so if you tap on the icon, you can scroll through to Super Night mode. Super Night mode is your low light recording mode on the Osmo 360. So if you're recording in the evening or in low light scenes, Super Night mode is the best mode to go with. It's going to enhance your footage and reduce the noise to give you some better quality footage. You definitely want to hold your camera steady while you're filming in that Super Night mode so you don't get jitters, but the footage will turn out really nice. Next, you've got selfie mode, which is going to focus on yourself as you film. It's going to automatically frame you as you carry your camera. So you just want to make sure to hold your camera straight out and you get some good clips with you centered in the frame. You've also got vortex, which is like a matrix style shot where the camera spins around you, and you need to attach it to the vortex rotating handle, extend that handle out and spin it around. And you'll see that it creates some really cool looking footage that can really add into your travel shot. And it'll record it as a flat video that records it in 4K at 240 frames per second. The next mode we have is time-lapse mode, which can be used to record either time lapses or hyperlapses. So a time lapse is a stationary shot that you can use to film those clouds moving by, for example. Or you can use hyperlapse mode if you want to film a video. When you're moving your camera around, you can be moving it and it's going to create some stabilized, sped up movement that's going to speed up time. So both of those are really fun to work with. If you go the other way, you've also got a photo mode that takes up to 120 megapixel 360 spherical photos. So these are really high resolution. You can get some really beautiful shots using this feature. It can be a super wide angle perspective, or it's great for real estate shots in that 360 spherical photo mode. Then if you go over to the single lens options, you've also got some options for recording out of one of the lenses at a time. You've got a single lens video mode where you can record in up to 5K, up to 60 frames per second. So if you want to record videos that are ready to go, you don't want to edit your 360 videos, this is an option for recording videos that are flat and ready to go in up to 5K. And in single lens modes, the field of view is actually going to matter, so you might want to change your lens depending on what perspective or look you're going for. And there's also some different stabilization options because all of that's going to be happening in the camera here on that flattened video. There's also a super night mode for those single lens shots when you want to record in low light scenarios, and you can record those in up to 4K video. Then you've also got this fun mode, which is a boost video mode where you can record higher frame rates in short bursts. So you can record in 4K at 120 frames per second. That's going to give you super slow motion in those single lens shots, which is great for high action and short little clips. And you've also got a single lens photo mode that can take up to 30 megapixel photos just using one of the lenses. As you can see, there are tons of great options here on the Osmo 360. If you do need help and reminders on how to use all this stuff, check out my book for the Osmo 360. It's a great resource to have on hand, and it'll just keep you creating and keep you innovating. If you swipe down from the top of the screen, you can open up some more setting options that are general settings for the Osmo 360. So I'll go through just a few of these because there's quite a few here. You can do a quick switch where you can change the function of this button to switch between different modes, for example. You've got a microphone setting here where you can attach up to 2 external microphones using those DJI mics. Those can give you audio from a conversation or whatever you want to record. You've got that option for 2 different microphones. You've also got some general camera settings under this icon. And under here, you can also make sure that the bit rate is set to high. So if you get onto bit rate, change that setting right there where it says standard and change that over to high to make sure that you get the highest quality footage out of your Osmo 360. So you've got this icon here, which is the editing assistant. If you turn that on, it's going to shorten your battery life, but it's going to help you focus on your subject when you go to edit using the Mimo app. Over here, you have gesture control if you want to start and stop recording using gestures. If you are using lens protectors, you can change that setting right here. You've got voice control, time capture, and over here is very important where you can switch your memory card. If you're recording on internal storage or an SD card, you can switch that over right here. You can also format the cards right there. There's a lot of different features here on the Osmo 360. Many of them you won't need, but they're here for you when you want them. Then after you've recorded some videos, you can tap on this icon here and go view the footage that's stored on your camera's internal storage or the microSD card. When you're done recording, go ahead and hold down the power button on the side of the camera. The camera will power off. You can also use the DJI Mimo app as a remote viewfinder and to change all of the settings on your Osmo 360. So this is a really convenient way to have basically a remote for your camera right here on your phone. Since you've already connected the camera before, all you need to do is power on your Osmo 360 and tap this little icon right here. And that's going to prompt you to connect to the camera. Once the camera is connected, you can see a preview right through your camera's lenses, and you can even move around on the screen to adjust the view of what you're seeing. Because it's a 360 video, obviously you're going to record everything, but you can just use this to preview your shots. You can swipe between the different modes here on your camera, so you can go between photo, video, and you can also change all of the key settings by using these icons up here. It's going to go into the settings dialog. Once you have your settings chosen, you can press the record button and the camera will start recording and save it onto your camera's storage. Next, I want to give you guys some tips for mounting the Osmo 360, because mounting your 360 camera is how you're going to really tap into the magic of what this camera can create. First of all, when it comes to mounting, you want to make sure that your lenses are always nice and protected. So I always like to keep my camera in this little protective case here. Close that up and your camera is nice and safe. Your lenses won't get scratched. When you're ready to use the camera, you can just pop it out and make sure you keep these lenses away from any hard surfaces. The most basic way to mount this camera is to just use this 1/4-20" thread on the bottom of the camera here. And all you need to do to mount the camera is to screw it on to a pole like this one. It's got a screw right on top of it. You just screw it right in and you're gonna get a nice, secure way to mount the Osmo 360. You'll see that the camera is in line directly with the pole, just like this, when you mount it on a thread like that. Because there's a gap between these 2 lenses, anything that's between those lenses can disappear, and that's going to be your invisible selfie stick. There's also this quick release adapter mount that came with your Osmo 360 in the Adventure combo. And you can use that if you want a quick release mount for taking your camera on and off the pole. So all you need to do is attach that to the pole by screwing it on. Then you've got this nice mount here. When you put it on, if it's the wrong way, you'll see that the magnet pushes it away. So you can just flip it around and it'll snap right into place. Then you want to just make sure that it snaps all the way into place and that both of these clasps are grabbing the camera so that it doesn't fall off accidentally. Now you've got your camera mounted on the pole just the same as I did before, except this way you can just easily take it on and off when you want to film without the pole. The adapter mount isn't as secure as putting it straight on the pole because it could accidentally get knocked off, but it's a really easy way for vlogging, traveling, for example, or you might just want to take your camera on and off. Once the camera's on the pole, you can use an extension pole to create more distance between you and your camera. And that's going to really make your camera look far away from you and make the pole disappear. Also, speaking of traveling and vlogging, if you're out and about and you want to have your camera charging while you're using it, you can use this pole that DJI made. It's really convenient because all you need to do is snap your camera on there and it'll start charging wirelessly. What's also pretty amazing is that you can just start using the buttons right away and it's going to control the Osmo 360 camera right from the handle. If you want to get some matrix style shots where the camera is spinning around you, you can use that vortex mode with this vortex handle. And that's really cool because you can just screw your pole onto there and you can extend it out. When you extend the camera out, you can spin it around and get those vortex style shots. You can also mount your camera to your helmet or your chest for a more POV style shot. And the Osmo 360 camera is a nice sized camera for doing that. However, you're not going to get that invisible pole effect because your camera is mounted so close to you, but it is great because you can get a super wide perspective. The Osmo 360 camera is waterproof. As long as these doors are shut, the camera can go underwater. However, you don't want to film underwater unless you have the dive case for the Osmo 360, which will be released really soon. So if you want to film underwater, that dive case is going to allow you to get crystal clear footage underwater using your camera. If you do want to get some enhanced audio, you can also pair it up with the Mic Mini, for example, or any of DJI mics. That's going to give you some nice lav mic, where it's gonna be close to you, even if your camera's further away. There's tons of great ways you can mount the Osmo 360 to an extension, to a backpack pole, so it's just floating behind you. So you can just really have a lot of fun with this camera and create some shots that make people wonder how you took it. Now that you guys know your way around the camera and you've got some of the best setting, it's time to film some clips. So why don't you go out there and capture some footage of your own, and when we come back, I'll show you how to transfer it over and edit it. Just a few tips while you're out there filming. Before you start filming, always make sure that these lenses are super clean, because any dust or specks that show up on your lens are gonna show up in your shots. So just mount your camera on an invisible selfie stick and extend the camera to get some distance between you and the camera. It definitely can be a little strange at first to be filming with your camera sideways and not even pointing at you, yet you're filming yourself. So if you filmed a lot, that's gonna take a little bit getting used to, but that's how you film with a 360 camera. Try to hold your camera at about eye level so you get less distortion, and keep your camera steady while you film. So now go out and film something that you love, and when you come back, I'm gonna show you how to transfer your clips over and do some basic edits using DJI's apps. Now that you're done filming, let's get your clips over to a phone, tablet, or computer. DJI has some helpful apps for doing this no matter what kind of device you're using. I'm mostly gonna show you on the phone device because it's just the easiest to use, but I'll also give you a quick rundown of the desktop options. First, just make sure that your camera is powered on, and then on your phone or your tablet, open up the DJI Mimo app and tap on this album icon down here. When you get over to the album here, just make sure that you tap on device, so it's looking at your actual camera. Then you might need to follow some prompts to reconnect your camera to the Mimo app. Once your camera is connected, you'll see thumbnails of all the files that are either on your camera's internal storage or on the microSD card in your camera. You can see here there's a little icon besides the thumbnails, and that just shows you the mode that was used when you recorded that video. Now scroll through your videos and find a 360 video file that you want to work with. I'm going to tap on this one here, and it's going to open this file up here in the Mimo editor. You can use this editor to reframe your 360 videos. Reframing is basically where you choose perspectives from your 360 video to show in a flat video. The first thing you want to do is just choose the aspect ratio, which is the shape of your video. You'll see right here it's a vertical 9:16 video, but if you tap on this icon here, you can change the aspect ratio. I'm going to switch it over to a 16:9, which is a widescreen aspect ratio like you would use on YouTube. Then you can drag around on the screen to adjust the view. You can also pinch or squeeze to zoom in or out on your shots. If you want to preview the video, you can just tap on the screen and push play, tap again, and it'll stop. There are a few different techniques you can use to reframe your videos. One of them is called using keyframes. To add a keyframe, all you need to do is reframe your shot to a perspective that you want to see. So you can zoom out a little, make it a super wide perspective, and go like that. And then if you just tap on this little plus here, it's going to add a marker of that exact look of your shot. And then you can play your video, or you can scroll to a point further in your video and adjust the view so it looks a little bit different. Say I zoom in a little, like that. And then you can add another keyframe. Now when you play from one of the keyframes to the next, you're going to see the keyframe transition from that first one to the framing in the second one. You'll see it zooms in a little tighter towards that second keyframe. That's the basis right there of reframing your 360 videos. You just add a bunch of keyframes to change different perspectives from your 360 video. And you'll notice here when you're on the keyframes, there are some preset looks you can use, such as a tiny planet called the asteroid here. There's also these different looks like ultra wide, just basically different lens looks that you can use for those keyframes. So it's really easy if you just want to switch between those, it's just going to adjust that framing. There's a couple other ways you can actually reframe your shots too. So then if you go to a new area of your video where there's not a keyframe and tap on tracking here, then you can just select your subject by dragging a box over your subject. And it's going to automatically track your subject's movements. This is a really easy way to keep your subject in the frame. It's much easier than adding keyframes for every time your subject moves around. Another thing you can use is called gyro frame, where you can actually record the movements as you make them on your phone. So if you do gyro frame, and you can just tap this to start framing your shots, and you can just adjust the framing just like that. I'm just going to record those movements. You can also use this quick framing, where you can actually just move your phone around to actually reframe based on the movements of your phone, or you can use this little joystick here. You kind of end up just wanting to find your style of how you like to reframe your shots, and I really find that keyframes work well because you can create nice smooth movements and really go from one shot that you want to show to the next. The Mimo app also has all the other tools you would expect from an editing app, so it's got color tuning and audio and all the other things you would need to do to fine-tune your video. Once you're done reframing the clip, you can just tap on the resolution you want to export it to, select your resolution, say 4K for example, and then export your clip and it'll save it into the DJI Mimo's album, which you can then export to your phone. If you want to transfer your files over to a computer, just insert the USB-C cable and power on your Osmo 360. The internal storage and the microSD card will show up as two different drives on your hard drive on your computer. So then you can just grab those files and drag them over to somewhere on your computer. You can open up those 360 files using DJI's desktop app, which is DJI Studio. And this gives you all the tools you need to reframe your shots, just like I showed you on a phone. If you're on a Mac, you can use subject tracking, and hopefully they're going to add that to the Windows devices soon. Because their software is kind of new, they're constantly improving it. I really hope that that video helped you understand your Osmo 360. And if you're still on the fence trying to figure out if that's the camera you should buy, check out this comparison I made versus the Insta360 X5, and it just shows the main differences between these two cameras. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can be the first to know about any new videos I have about the Osmo 360 or any of the other great action cameras. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.